Hello everyone, welcome back to the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion commentary. This is the last part of the main set of levels. After this, we go into the final stretch of the game. So, yeah, again, I could have... What are you doing, you murdering bastard? Why are you trying to... Yeah, that's right, you stand down. You sit, you
I like
asshole.
all the funny stuff that they have Sea Cucumber doing.
He's an endearing character when he's not murdering you, so you know.
That just makes it funnier, though.
Yeah, it does, honestly.
Like they knew you were gonna hate this bastard. It's why
Yeah,
they have
pretty
him
much.
like up on the wall half the time, tempting you to shoot him.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of what they try to do with the bear and Danganronpa. I don't know his name.
Monokuma.
Because he's like
Monokuma,
marketable and I guess kind of cute.
Well,
But
the
he
point
also
is,
murders
well, the
people,
point of
so-
those kind of visual novel deadly game situations is that you always have a tormentor, you know.
Yeah, but like the idea that he's like cute and marketable, I guess is the point of that like it's like
And I never liked Danganronpa, honestly.
Monokuma is basically a living creepypasta. So yeah.
okay, I guess. I haven't played it. What's down here?
I haven't played Danganronpa either. I've heard a lot about it from people who do play it, but you know, I like visual novels, but I like visual novels when they're more about like just being inside a character's head. And
Did you
not so
ever
much...
play Zero Escape, Lewis?
No, I have it. I have one of the games. I mean, it was a freebie on PS Plus at one point, so I have that on my handheld library, so I could boot it up on my PS TV, I think. But
yeah. 999 is very good. I would recommend that. The thing about Danganronpa I never really liked was one, the art style. I just can't get into it. And the general writing tone just didn't seem to be for me. You know, it did not interest me. And I've had a lot of people being like, but Ted, you like Ace Attorney, and there are trials in Danganronpa, so you would like Danganronpa. And I'm thinking, yes, because every cop show is exactly the same, and if you like one cop show, you would like all the cop shows. Or if you like Mario, you like every other platformer that exists.
yeah, tone is important. I enjoy my visual novels more when they're about being inside a character's head and the situations are a bit more normal.
Okay, then you probably wouldn't like 999 as much.
I don't really like any of the you're stuck in a challenge situation and need to find a way to escape without all of the characters dying, all of them. But then again, like
in that case, you might like Valhalla then, as a visual novel.
maybe.
It's spelt like VA Hall 11A or something like that.
I guess the thing that I like the most in my visual novels are character relationships. Not necessarily romantic ones, but stories that are about two or more people interacting and getting to know each other.
Yeah, that's basically what Valhalla is. You play as a bartender, and then you serve drinks to the people who come to the bar.
Oh, so it's like Coffee Talk.
It's very similar to Coffee Talk, actually.
I loved Coffee Talk.
Is also
Coffee
very
Talk
good.
is great. I loved Coffee Talk.
Yeah, it's basically Coffee Talk, but in a bar, and instead of fantasy races, it's cyberpunk. They're very similar, and the music's awesome. I would really recommend it. It takes about the same amount of time to complete. They go into different kind of themes, but they have a similar kind of vibe to them. It's a little bit less like chill than Coffee Talk, obviously, because that's what they're kind of going for.
Coffee Talk was so goddamn relaxing. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, except for the part where the werewolf comes in, and then like you can't even bring up your phone because he keeps on smashing the thing, so you have to actually remember what he wanted, and that freaked me out. But
I remember that.
yeah, but that game is really good. I really liked Coffee Talk. I remember because I played the two back to back pretty much, and I liked them both about equally. I was getting in a point where I was kind of revisiting a lot of VNs because I had replayed Ghost Trick fairly recently before that, and I had replayed 999 as well. And Ace Attorney, great Ace Attorney, aka Daigakuten Saibon, comes out at the end of the month, and I'm really excited for that too. Because I've been waiting for that game since like 2014, but that's a different rant altogether. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll get a real translation of Investigations 2. Maybe one day.
That reminds me, I actually need to check out that re-release of Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, I have never played it, but I know like the twists. I don't know how they would do the thing like at the end in like a console. I don't know how you would do it.
Well, I'm not gonna talk on that just in case someone here hasn't played it. I haven't played Doki Doki Literature Club, and the fact that I had the twist spoiled to me before I even knew what Doki Doki Literature Club was is a major contributing factor to the fact that I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, that's always really frustrating. With those kinds of things, you want to go in blind for. If you already know the twist or whatnot, then
I was just casually
it.
I was just casually reading an article about like visual novels, looking for one that I might want to play, and the article itself gave away the twist of the novel. So I'm like, okay, now that's one I'm not going to be playing.
I kind of had that same problem. It's not a visual novel, but Undertale. I think I was told too much about Undertale before I played it, and
being
it
able
kind
to
of ruined my interest in playing it.
Being able to experience the characters on Undertale really does help the experience. Even on replays, like when you're replaying Undertale, you kind of have the memory of that first experience, you know?
Yeah, I know that Undertale is another one where the game really emphasizes that first playthrough and then does some meta stuff involving that. Like, it's like if you do a certain ending, the game remembers it, and then you can never get the best ending ever again. Is one of the things they do in Undertale or something like that.
Yeah, and if you do the full genocide route, then the game will remember it, and every time you try to go for the happiest ending,
punishes you for it.
Yeah, well, you get this really grim ending where a certain character decides to screw things up for you. At the same time, the game is sort of set up so that you're kind of guilt-tripped for replaying the game after getting the best ending. So, like, on a meta level, you're encouraged to not reset time and just let the good ending sit. You know?
Yeah, but then you also never get to play the game again, which is
well, that's not true.
That's one of the reasons why I don't particularly care for a lot of things of Undertale, where it's like, as a game, it's not the most fun thing to just straight up play, comparatively speaking. That in the game just kind of feels really high on itself in a lot of regards. When you go to replay, it's like, okay, stop being a jerk about everything.
It's in the one case, yes. In the other case, though, because all the meta stuff is tied to your save files, you could always just copy the game folder wholesale and play in a different timeline. Use the game's meta bullshit to justify itself.
Yeah, I know. It's just one of those. You could also just not be a dick about it.
Well, I like the idea that part of the story is that the save game process is literally going back in time, you know? Undertale was kind of like, not necessarily the first to do that, but you know, and now I'm talking about spoilery stuff. I should probably stop.
I mean, if we're talking about the whole save data stuff being kind of meta about it, I mean, Chrono Trigger.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, but there's nothing in Chrono Trigger that punishes you for doing a specific path. Like, I'm thinking about Shadow the Hedgehog.
That's why I like it better.
Well, in Chrono Trigger, it's really just a new game plus what if bonus, really. But
yeah, but like nothing in Shadow the Hedgehog. You know, not that that's a good game, obviously, but it's like, you know, in order to get the true ending to that game, you have to do all the timelines, and it's just like, so does that mean that Shadow canonically like murdered a bunch of gun soldiers.
What
and,
it
like,
means is that
burned down a city, or
what it
or
means
what?
is that Sega didn't think anyone would care about the justification for their true ending, so they just made it a completion requirement.
Yeah. But like, it is kind of important to like, to me, I guess. Like, I kind of don't want to be playing the true ending and not know, did Shadow actually murder all these people? Like,
It's irritating to me because my preference is to try and my preference in games that give you a choice between good and evil is to travel the good route and just view the choice to do the other thing as something that adds value to the choice that I made. Like, I rarely ever play the evil route in any game that offers one, but the fact that they do offer me one makes it feel like I'm the one who chose to do the good thing, rather than it just being a story about someone who chose to do the good thing. If that makes sense.
no, I can totally get that. Like,
Yeah.
there's no value in choosing the right thing when it's not a choice and it's just handed to
Oh,
you.
good old Mario Galaxy 2 of yes, and that's right.
It's like, it's all well and good to play a linear story about someone else who did heroic things, but when you are given the option to choose to do the heroic thing, it's more like being the hero yourself, So
That's
like,
actually, yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, that's part of why I enjoy the Shin Megami Tensei games, is because you don't choose the route that you end up on. Well, not really directly. It's more like how you act determines who ends up siding with you at the end, really. So, like, you might not want to join the demons and burn down everything that you see, but the way you acted determined that that's the only group that would side with you. So it's not so much about you choosing to be evil as in the game is kind of marking how you've behaved the entire time, which I think is neat. Obviously, though, Atlas has some issues with that, namely in presenting the sides as equally awful is something that they're not really very good at, because if you ask Atlas to make the law side as evil as the chaos side, they're like, I don't understand. I can't make the law side the worst choice. That's not possible. It doesn't work that. Oh, god damn it. Stupid.
I mean, it's fine if they want one particular side to be worse than the other. That's part of the message that they want to send with the game that they're making. That's fine with me. But
And I disagree when the entire point of the series is that no, both sides are equally bad. Then both sides should be equally bad and not have one side
well, what is
be just bad.
what is equally bad, really, when you think about it?
Let me put it this way. In Shin Megami Tensei 2 on the Super Nintendo, there's the Law side and the Chaos side. In the Chaos side, you kill YHVH, who is the giant floating head in the sky, and create a world of chaos where you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
In the Law side, where you follow YHVH, you still murder YHVH because he's just that evil. So that's what I mean, is that even the people who side with you think that you're still evil. And also, there's just a matter of they generally tend to depict the stuff that the Law team is doing as being worse than the stuff that the Chaos team tends to be doing. Like, they tend to emphasize that the Law people are, like, committing genocide and then kind of gloss over the bad things that the Chaos team is doing a lot.
Isn't that...
Shin Megami Tensei 4 is better about this than a lot of the other games, but...
Sure, it's chaotic, and you can have, murderers running around doing whatever the hell they want, but you have freedom, damn it. It's like...
That's kind of the like the natural drawback of chaos versus law in any alignment system, really. Is like one might actively do some bad shit in the name of what they think is good, whereas the other maybe values their freedom a little too much, and rather than doing necessarily the worst things on their own, they enable others to do worse things.
Yeah,
So,
and SMT doesn't really mention that a whole lot.
yeah.
Chaos is freedom, and therefore freedom is good. It's like,
So no, that's the funny thing in that I have a lot of issues with Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne from both a story and a gameplay perspective. But one of the things that I think they did do well is in that game, they're not like called Law versus Chaos, they're called Reasons. But the analog to the typical Chaos alignment in SMT3 is the Reason of Yosuga, I think is what it's called. It's the one that Chiaki has. And that one is a legitimately like critical look at the I'm going to do whatever I want kind of philosophy, where that just means, oh, I don't like you, you're ugly, I'm going to murder you. And it's like, cool, they finally made the Chaos alignment not look like just the good guys. But then they just made the angels join with her for some reason anyway, because they just like making them all look like assholes all the time. And I so
There
yeah,
is
I don't
also the true demon route.
know. No, screw Lucifer. Oh, God won't accept you because you're a demon. Yeah, you want to know who made me a demon, Lucifer? It was you. You made me the demon. Screw you. Screw you. God, I hate him so much. Yeah, so anyway, long story short, play Shin Megami Tensei 4. It's a very good game. Don't play Apocalypse, though. That game sucks. I've gone on that rant before, though, so I'm not gonna...
I assume you're excited for 5 in
Oh,
November,
5 looks
is it?
great, because 5 looks like it's taking a lot of the ideas that 3 had and making it not a game from 2002, which is awesome. Because that's actually part of what was frustrating about the HD re-release of Nocturne, was that Nocturne is a game with a good base but needs a modern coat of paint, and they just didn't update anything.
I think coat of paint is the wrong word. I think like the problems with Nocturne are all rooted in basic stuff like the encounter rates and
Yes.
the way demon negotiation is just bullshit random, as opposed to the way Persona 5 handled it, where it's actually comprehensible.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Like, there's, you have a really limited amount of demon slots. The encounter rate was the huge thing. There's also the part that SMT3 is not really a hard game so much as it is an inconvenient one.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of boss fights that you'll probably lose the first time because you don't know what they do, but it's not really difficult. It's just inconvenient. Basically, what I'm saying is a real remaster would have made that game a lot better, but instead they just took the PS2 ROM, added in Rido, and then made the Dante meme $7.99 and called it a day. And I wish that they had done a little bit more. But 5 does look great, and I am looking forward to that when it comes out later this year.
On the other hand, I feel like as far as the Shin Megami Tensei games go, Nocturne is like the last one that has, how do I put this without sounding snobbish, that genuine Shin Megami Tensei feel.
In terms of the art, I agree with you, because SMT4's art is very polarizing.
SMT4's art is odd.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just like the visual style doesn't seem to fit the mood that they're going for, and I'm really, really not sure how to feel about the whole I'm gonna be a samurai thing.
Well, that's the whole thing is that the whole samurai stuff is only like the first 3 or 4 or 5 hours of the game.
Yeah, I know.
And then you go into Tokyo, and it's basically just a matter of you're an outsider. Is basically
I'm just
the rest
like
of it.
it's just like it's such a weird hook to sell the game on. Like what it feels like the game wants to be standard Shin Megami Tensei, and by and large it is. Like by gum, after you get past the samurai stuff, it is. But like they wanted to sell it to the anime crowd, so they bullshit out this 2-hour opening story that was designed to hook the anime crowd and didn't really do anything else.
I wouldn't put it really like that. I think it does have some merit just in the fact that it puts a different perspective on your relationship to what's happening to the people in the city is the big thing. And it does goes deeper into the game, but like
I feel
Later
like
on,
though.
it's a matter of, if you're going to help the people in the city, then that means that to some extent you have to not help the people that you started living in the town. And there's actually some really cool, it does a lot of really cool stuff with the endings in particular, where the endings go into that relationship a lot depending on which one you get. So I would say it works, but I can definitely understand that it does feel very different and weird, and it also doesn't help that the art style is such a big change, and I think that
I think
generally
even
speaking the art in 5 does look better,
I
so
think
that's
even
good.
the stuff that you're talking about at this point though is also an odd fit for Shin Megami Tensei, because like in Shin Megami Tensei, there's a lot of emphasis on the alignment and a lot of emphasis on you as the player reacting to the things that happen in the game to determine your alignment, right? But casting the player of SMT4 as so foreign from like the city below the real world, as belonging to this different culture, essentially divorces that character from that concept. So it seems like something that would have fit better in a spin-off than in a mainline game to me.
I wouldn't disagree with that, but I wouldn't say that it divorces them, because it just puts a different spin on what's going on. Like, for example,
That's the
there's
point.
a lot of questions about, like, your duty, for example, and how that's being perverted
That's the
by
point,
what you're
though. It
doing.
does put a different spin on that, but the fact of the matter is, the particular spin that it used to have was geared toward channeling your own perspective and opinions into the game, as opposed to making you think of those issues from a point of view that is foreign to you. And when I think about this is such an awkward argument for an American Shin Megami Tensei player to have, because no matter who you are, when you're playing these highly Japanese games, if you are an American, you are essentially looking at all of these issues from a perspective that exists outside of the player character's culture. But
The
like,
Americans, they're in the first Shin Megami Tensei game. The Americans are comic relief characters, because late in the around halfway through the game, the American military is brought in to kill a bunch of the demons, and you can talk to them, and they're speaking in broken Japanese, and they're supposed to be like kind of shown as like well-meaning but incompetent.
yeah.
Which is really I don't know. I think it's funny how they do that. In any case, we have beaten all of the stations, so we get a bunch of money for doing that. Again, the money isn't really good for much except for spending it on stuff for the multiplayer, but I guess, sure, thanks for murdering me a bunch, CQ. And next time we will finally continue with the actual plot in Octo expansion, so that's
Ooh,
exciting. I
I
hope to
can't
see you all there.
wait.